Welcome to John's Tarot. This isn't fortune telling, it isn't prediction, and it isn't about escaping the ordinary. This is a space where we slow down long enough to notice structure in our lives, in our history, and in ourselves. The symbols don't tell us what to do, they give us a place to land for meeting. And here we explore the maps. Tarot, the I Ching, the runes, not as authorities, but as mirrors. What emerges is already there. We're just learning to see it more clearly. If you're walking your own path of integration, if you're caring less than you used to, or if you're simply curious about how structure becomes alive, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello. Thank you very much, and welcome to John's Tarot. I hope you all had a great week. I'm happy to join you again this week, and welcome to you from wherever in the world you may be listening. Today I'm going to continue. This is episode 3 on how to view the world differently using symbolic systems. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about symbolic systems again. I have a little intro I've prepared. If you are listening to this on the podcast version, there is a visual layer to this episode that brings these symbols together in a way that's hard to fully capture in audio alone. If you feel drawn to it, you may want to experience the video version, but for now, stay with me and we'll walk through the meaning together. I had a really good a video portion that's going to go along with this. And, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. I started doing all this with a Zoom capture like 5 years ago. And I do all this with free software. I use Shotcut as a video editor, and I use OBS to capture the live video. So take a look at it, and it's worth seeing. I have a little opening presentation I want to do for this episode. Today I want to explore something a little deeper about systems, not just how they function, but how they persist and how they change. Because systems don't just exist in a moment. They have a life cycle. They form, they stabilize, they come under pressure, and they either adapt or they don't. They transform or they collapse. So yes, systems have a lifespan, but unlike a person, a system doesn't always simply end. It can fragment, it can continue in pieces, or it can reemerge in a different form. And nowhere is this move more visible than in something like a family system or even a political system, because political and family systems carry beliefs, behaviors, coping mechanisms, and roles, not just in one lifetime, but across generations. They persist, not because they are chosen, but because they are reinforced, and they continue until something interrupts them, until reality no longer supports them, or contradiction builds, or someone inside the system sees it clearly. And that's the part that interests me, because when that happens, when someone recognizes the pattern and stops reinforcing it and introduces something different, that's not just a personal change. That's a perturbation in the system itself. And from that point forward, the system has to respond. It will either adapt or it will fracture. So when we look at systems, we're not just looking at structure, we're looking at patterns. Because systems persist through patterns, and those patterns continue until something interrupts them. And that point of interruption is where everything changes. That's where transformation begins, or collapses. I went through a major transformation in my life. I had family systems that that were affecting my life, and I did not know it. I see that in the political system today. These political systems are affecting people in a profound way, in a profoundly negative way, just as those systems, family systems that were passed to me, affected me in a profound way. And I I knew they affected me, but I didn't realize how deeply until I stepped outside of them. So that's what this episode is about today. The life cycle of systems. And I did a nice video, and I hope you enjoy the video. And we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. I also have prepared a tarot spread, a free tarot spread. Every time you tune into John's Tarot, you get a free tarot spread. And that tarot spread, I work one up for you, and I've got one worked up for you today to help you understand where you are at in a system, or where is the system at in its life cycle. So sit back and enjoy the video today. If you're on the podcast only version, it's still very interesting. Like I said, take a listen. It's worth taking a look. If you want to take a look at the video, it's on johnstarot.net. And it's worth viewing. So enjoy the video, and I will see you at the tarot spread. Okay, we'll see you shortly. Today I want to look at something a little differently, not as isolated events, but as pattern. A pattern that shows up in systems, in organizations, in relationships, and even internally. What happens when a system comes under pressure? This is a symbolic framework. Not to predict, but to help us see. At the beginning, there is structure. A system forms. There's leadership, a hierarchy, identity, a sense of this is who we are. At this stage, everything appears ordered, purposeful, unified. From the outside, it looks stable, but there is always a question beneath the surface. How rigid is the structure? Because flexibility or lack of it determines what happens next. The charge. Then energy begins to move. Ambition rises, momentum builds, expansion begins. This is where things feel alive. You see rapid growth, strong messaging, high engagement. Everything appears to be working. But something subtle begins to shift. Speed starts to outpace reflection. And when that happens, pressure begins to form. The compression. Now the system is under load. Competing forces emerge. Internal disagreements, external opposition, structural friction. This is where tension becomes visible, and the system reaches a critical point. It must adapt or rigidify. If it adapts, it adjusts, it self-corrects. But if it rigidifies, dissent gets suppressed. Loyalty becomes more important than accuracy, and reality begins to distort. The distortion, loss of clarity. Now something subtle but important happens. Perception shifts. Narratives begin to replace facts. Confusion increases. Decisions become reactive. From the inside, everything still feels justified. But from the outside, the cracks are visible. This is where the system becomes vulnerable, even if it doesn't recognize it yet. The perturbation, the trigger event. And then something enters the field, a disturbance. It could be an investigation, a contradiction, a whistleblower, or public exposure. This is what we call the perturbation. And here's the key. The event itself is usually not the cause. It is the reveal. It exposes what the system could no longer hold together. The cascade, system reaction. Once the exposure begins, things move quickly. Multiple issues surface. Positions shift. Alliances change. Unraveling accelerates. This is the network effect. One node fails, pressure redistributes, other nodes begin to fail, and what once appeared stable begins to come apart. The exposure, truth surfaces. Now comes clarity, but not easy clarity. Reputations collapse, hidden dynamics become visible, consequences begin to land. the illusion can no longer hold, and what was once managed is now exposed. The reorganization aftermath. At this point, the system reaches its end or its transformation. It will either dissolve, restructure, or reemerge in a new form. This is the completion of the cycle, not an ending, but a reset. So when I look at systems now, I don't just ask what happened. I asked, what stage of the cycle am I looking at? Because once you begin to see this pattern, you realize these events are not random. They follow a structure. And if you can see that structure, you begin to understand what is real and what is being presented. Thanks for being here, and we'll continue building on this one layer at a time. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was interesting, like I said, it was an interesting transformation for me, going from, I could see the difference over 5 years, and I'm definitely improving in my video making. I have a long ways to go, but it's been interesting. So today's tarot reading, and it's a 5-card reading on how to find out where are you in a system, where do you exist within a system, or how is a system growing, where is the system at in its life cycle. So the first card will be your current position in the system, how you are situated right now. Are you the observer, disruptor, stabilizer, the builder? The nature of the system itself. Is it rigid? Is it adaptive? Is it stressed? Is it receptive? Is it fragmented? And then what is the system asking of you? Where alignment exists or doesn't? And a likely system response. If you continue as you are, how will the system react? And and then the final one, your optimal way of knowing within it, your optional way of moving within it. Not control, but navigation. Because I see life as like I talked about last week, as like moving in a river, in a stream, and I see these systems as doing that, as helping you move. Where's my position at in the river, in the stream of life, and how can I position myself to take most advantage of the current of life? So sometimes I want to understand where I am at in the system. So let's go ahead and do a little tarot reading. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love. So, the system. What system am I going to look at? What system am I going to look at? My current position. If I look at the current political system, this doesn't take a tarot card. This doesn't take a tarot reading. The current political system is definitely having some problems, and it is in the it's in the position of compression. Repression builds. So it's at about the third level in what I discussed in the video. It's in it's having some problems. Our political leaders we're in a war type situation, and our current chief executive is putting pressure on the system by identifying himself as Jesus, and that was very disturbing. And by doing that, he definitely brought some stress into the system itself. And then he backed away. No, I'm not Jesus. I'm a doctor, and I work in a hospital. I never see any doctors dressed like that. I've yet to see that. So he's definitely put the system under stress. I'm going to talk a little bit about where am I at in the system. Now, I don't agree with everything that's going on in the system. I'm not in favor of it, but it is the controlling, ruling system. And there's been a lot of talk too about the 25th Amendment, because some of this chief executive's talks have really been not well grounded in reality, and there's a lot of concern. So we're going to talk a little bit about me as a just an individual who has no control and no power over the system. Um, what is my position within the system? What is the nature of the system itself? What the system is asking of me? Likely system's response in the near future? And what is my optimal way of surviving in this maladaptive system? Because that's what it is. Clearly, it's a maladaptive system, and it's struggling for coherence, and it's struggling to maintain control. So my ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. This one's a little weird today. I guess all my tarot readings are a little weird. So, where am I at? What is my position in this system? Am I the observer, the disruptor, a stabilizer, the builder? That'll be the first card. What is my position in this system? And I'm talking about political system. What is my position within this system? And these cards and the symbolic systems help you find out a little bit about yourself. Where is my position in the system? What is the nature of the system? What the system is asking of me? Likely system response, and my optimal way of moving through the system. Cut the deck. What is my position within the system? And this is 5 cards, and I'll throw some runes on it. First card is the 9 of Wands. Second card is the King of Cups. And then I'll usually throw some runes on it, and then I'll do the reading. What is the system asking of me right now? The Knight of Swords. That's kind of interesting because that came up in the video. Fourth card, is the Queen of Swords. A likely response, likely system response. And then the final one, what is my optimal way of moving through the system? The best way for me not to find an easy way through, the Strength card. All right. Let's throw some runes on this. Odin and Freya, please help guide this reading. What is my current position in the system? Swulu is the name of that one. So what is my position within the system right now? This is the 9 of Wands, is always the rune of I always call it the veteran. He is, he's gone through these things before. These political parties come and they go, and I think that's what we can expect from this system. It's going to live out its lifespan, and it's going to go through its life cycle, and then it is going to go into decline, as all things do. It will go into what I talked about, exposure, when the truth surfaces, and then the system will have to adapt or not adapt. So it's going to go through its life cycle, and I've seen many systems, family systems, political systems, come and go in my lifetime. So I'm just a veteran. I'm just a veteran observer, and I'm just kind of watching. And the rune is Sulu, and that has to do with in my position right now, and what I'm doing with the podcast is I'm bringing light into what is otherwise a very dark situation. And then the King of Cups has to do with the nature of the system itself. And the rune is Uraz. So right now, the nature of the system itself, is it rigid? Is it adaptive? Is it stressed? Is it fragmented? Right now, it is the system, that particular system is pretty stable, and it seems to have control of the situation. Well, let me reframe that. It has control of its system responses. It's a pretty stable system, even as things come up from, even as weird things come up, like positioning yourself as Jesus. But it seems to be in control of its group, of the MAGA the MAGA faithful, and but it's going to take a lot of work. Uraz, the rune Uraz. It's really working to maintain control, and its control is shifting. And then what is the system asking of you? Where alignment exists or doesn't exist, that clearly has to do with the charge energy, and the rune is Iwas. That's kind of interesting. The tarot is telling me that the system, the system is in more in charge. It's more in moving forward. The problem with the way it's moving forward, trying to move forward rapidly, and I have the rune, the rune Iwas underneath there. It has to do with like a horse and the noble movement of a horse. So the system is moving forward rapidly with its plans as if on a horse. And what I need to do in terms of my position, what is asking of me, move forward with the system. But I'm not moving forward with the system. I'm maintaining my independence. I'm maintaining my own judgment. And that is the noble way for me to move forward. And just let the system do what it's going to do, because I'm not going to be able to change it. Likely system response, how the system reacts. Queen of Swords. And that usually has to do with independence. The system is moving forward independently. And like what we're stuck with over there in Iran, that nobody is joining in to help us. Nobody's going to join in to help this system because its system started this thing on its own. It's going to have to get out of this system on its own. And if it continues as it is, the rune is called Gabo. And that usually has to do with partnerships. Reflects back to me. How do I move through this? I have to maintain my independence. The Queen of Swords. I have to realize that not a lot of people are going to agree with me, and that I am in partnership with the deity Gabo. That's the interpretation of that. And what is my optimal way of dealing with this system? The Strength card, and the rune is called Ansus. And then I need to maintain control over my emotions, my ego, my anger, my frustration. I need to maintain control over that. You see the woman over there, the Strength card, with the infinity sign over her head, and with her hand in the lion's mouth. And that's kind of like where we are, at least where I am in relation to this system. I need to maintain control, not my ego get away from me, not let my anger control my situations, and listen, and listen for possible outcomes from sources I may not expect. The runes are a source. The tarot is a source. Sources of information that I may not expect to see what's going to happen to the system in the long run. I think that's going to wrap it up. It's going to be very short for me today.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. As I look through this, what am my position within the system? I'm going to go ahead and run through this really quickly. The Nine of Wands. I'm a veteran. I've seen this happen a lot. I'm bringing light over darkness. I'm bringing light to a dark situation. The system itself has to do with the nature of the system itself. It sees itself as in control, and I need to remain in control of my emotions, of my feelings, and I am remaining in control, but it's taken work. Whereas the third card has to do with the system is asking of me. I'm not going to let it run away with my emotions. I'm not going to let it charge me. I'm going to maintain dignity and ride through this slowly. And I'm going to and then the Queen of Swords, I am going to remain independent no matter what the system is requiring of others. I'm going to maintain my own thoughts, my own emotions, and I'm going to do it independently. But though I think I'm doing it independently, I do have Gabo. I'm being a partnership with the deity. And then the final outcome, what is my path during all this? And that is the strength card. Man, I'm just going to hang on. I'm just going to hang on, and I am not going to let my emotions run away. I'm going to remain calm. I'm going to let the system do what it does. It has its own life cycle, and I could see that. The rune is called Ensus, and it's going to have its own life cycle. It's going to have, but right now, it's not at the end. It's like at the third stage, moving into the fourth stage. It's fragmenting, but it's very slowly. You can see cracks, but it's not changing. And my symbolic systems have revealed that to me. So that's going to be it for this week. Until next week, be careful, be cool, be kind. And remember, have courage, find faith, and I will see you all next week. Okay, bye-bye.